Hot on the heels of the Space Wolves and the Death Watch, it's now the turns of the Sons of Sanguinius for their Codex Supplement. So yeah, we have got Codex Supplement Blood Angels, the latest supplement for the Space Marines Codex. So yeah, these are coming pretty thick and fast since the release of the new edition of the game. And yeah, we've seen the format of the last few books with all the Crusade content and all the cool new things that have been added to the game. And yeah, Blood Angels. I know Sprues and Brews member Jay is a big fan of these, and he has done a full write-up over on the website going through all the kind of nitty-gritty. Thought we'd have a quick flick through though, show you guys what's inside, have a look at some of the features and the cool stuff. So yeah, by now I'm sure you know the drill. This is a supplementary book that goes alongside the main Space Marine Codex, so it adds additional features, additional units, and changes up your options really for playing your games with a pure Blood Angels force. So yeah, really cool. I like the format of these books. I hope that we see these for other armies, so Eldar Craft Worlds and the various Chaos Legions. But yeah, as ever, really gorgeous presentation in these books. They've really gone to town in this edition, making sure that the books are really pretty with nice kind of artwork at the top, gorgeous pictures within, and then loads of miniature photography. Like with the previous couple of books that we've had, it opens up with quite a hefty lore section, going into quite a bit of detail about who the Blood Angels are, who Sanguinius is, the Black Rage. Really cool. If you're a fan of the Blood Angels, you're going to know a lot of this already. But for people who are new to the army, it gives you a lot of flavour from which to draw inspiration for building your force. And yeah, a really good read if you're just a general fan of 40k as well. I've really enjoyed these books as they've come out, and the new artwork within has been really nice in all of these. So yeah, really impressed with what they've done here. As ever, we go through a breakdown of all the main characters as well, who they are, what their motivations are. Yeah, some really cool stuff. As we've seen in a lot of the other books as well, we get the details of a new war zone. These are little bits of flavour text really to kind of give you some ideas for setting your battles. And yeah, we've got another one here with lots of nice little kind of like fluffy stuff to give you some inspiration for your game. So I like little stuff like this. You also get a bit of narrative as well. So yeah, anything that expands upon the feel of the army to kind of capture what the army represents is really good in my book. The Flesh Tearers as a successor also get some attention in this book, which is nice to see, and again with some information about various characters as well, so Gabriel, Seth for example. And then if you any other successor chapters, we also get, as always, a bit of a breakdown of the colour schemes for you to use as the basis of your own army. Same as we saw in the Space Wolf book, we get a nice section kind of detailing how you should paint them, where the insignias go, the various kind of bandings and stuff on the shoulder pads and legs to indicate what squad they're from or what company they're from. So again, I really like stuff like this. It obviously you're free to paint models however you want, but if you want to kind of align them with the official quote marks colour schemes, at least you've got all the information in here so you can make them fit the gorgeous heavy metal schemes. So yeah, really cool. As ever, we always get some nice miniature artwork as well, showing off the range. And lots of really nice miniature art showing the whole collection. Yeah, I've never painted a Blood Angel, but I am tempted to put together a small force of like Terminators or something. So yeah, onto the rules themselves. Similar structure to the other books that we've seen. I think the order of some of these sections has moved around a little bit in this one compared to some of the earlier books. But yeah, as ever, uses colour-coded sections to designate which area of the book relates to which section. We also get the details of how to create successor chapters. Again, if you've seen any of the other supplement books, very similar there. It also gives you an idea of putting together a combat patrol, coincidentally using one of the new combat patrol boxes that are available. This is also up for pre-order today, and it looks a pretty good box for any Space Marine forces, to be fair. I mean, the Impulsor's a fair chunk of that price tag by itself, so pretty good buy, and a nice mixture of different units as well. You've got the Incursors, the Intercessors and the Aggressors, as well as the Librarian, so yeah, that looks like a pretty good box, and I might pick one of them up for my Space Marine force, even though they're not Blood Angels. Onto the rules themselves. Match play rules seem to have jumped up a little bit in the order in this one. But we get some cool stuff, some unique missions that the Blood Angels can take. So you can pick one of these to replace one of the missions available in your mission pack. So Blade of Sanguinius is a pretty cool one. You pick a character and they essentially issue a challenge. The opposing force will pick one of their characters to accept it. You get 5 points if the model that accepted the challenge was destroyed. You get 5 points if the model that accepted the challenge was destroyed by a melee attack, and you get another 5 points if it was destroyed by the model that made the challenge. So essentially, you want to get your character, get it into their lines and take out their designated character. So pretty fun one that. I quite like that. We then have Fury of the Lost. Every turn a unit is destroyed by a Death Company unit, you get 3 victory points. Death Company are brutal with about 1 million attacks each, especially if you go for a kind of heavy Death Company force with lots of those units in. That's definitely a good pick. Death from Above. You get 2 victory points at the end of your turn if any enemy units were destroyed by a Blood Angels unit that was set up on the battlefield in the reinforcement step of your movement phase. If any of those enemy units were a character unit, score 3 victory points instead. So essentially with this, your deep striking units, if they can take out units, you will get victory points. So yeah, pretty good, especially with all the kind of jump packs and the the reinforcement shenanigans you can do in the current edition of the game. So yeah, some good options there. And then finally, Relentless Assault. Score 4 victory points at the end of your turn if there's more Blood Angel units from your army in the enemy deployment zone than there are enemy units in your deployment zone. So yeah, if you can keep your deployment zone clear while pushing forwards into theirs, that's a pretty good way of scoring 4 victory points. So yeah, pretty nice. I like these codex specific objectives that we're getting in these books. Add a bit of a flavour and means that the army should, in theory, play like the faction from the lore, which is really, really cool. We also get some new rules for the Death Company as well. So you now have to pay points to upgrade your characters into Death Company. You can do a single captain and up to 2 lieutenants. If you do so, then they get the various Death Company abilities that we all know and love. So yeah, pretty brutal. Yeah, they get an awful lot of attacks. Blood Angels also get the Savage Echoes rule, so if it's the Assault Doctrine and they made a charge, word charge or performed a heroic intervention, they get an additional 1 attack as well. So yeah, they're already getting that for being Space Marines. They are getting a lot of attacks with Savage Echoes. So onto the stratagems, we get a nice double page spread with quite a few different bits and bobs on here. Descent of Angels, use it at the end of your movement phase. Select 1 Blood Angels core jump pack unit from your army that was set up on the reinforcement step of this phase. Until the end of the turn, each time a charge roll is made, they can ignore any or all modifiers for that charge roll. So if there's any units that give you a, -3 to charges, etc., they can ignore that. And when they make that charge, they add 1 to their hit roll as well. So don't forget, they're already getting +1 to their wound roll. You can have a really hard-hitting force with that. It's pretty good. Obviously, it's only core jump packs that can do it, but again, some classic Assault Marines with jump packs, you can still put out quite a few attacks. So yeah, pretty good. Vengeance for Sanguinius. When a Blood Angels unit from your army is selected to fight, until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack against a Black Legion unit, you can reroll the hit and you can reroll the wound. So yeah, really good as well. The Blood Angels have got beef with the Black Legion because Horus might have killed the Primarch. Oh no. But yeah, pretty cool to represent that. Refusal to Die. Use this after a Death Company unit from your army is selected as the target of an attack. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in the unit would lose a wound, roll 1d6. On a 5+, that wound is not lost. You can only use this stratagem once per turn. If it contains 5 or fewer models, it costs 1 CP, otherwise it costs 2. So yeah, pretty much a 5+ shrug for your Death Company. So pretty nice. Aggressive Onslaught is a Flesh Tearer specific one. And basically, yeah, it lets them move an additional 3 inches when they pile in or consolidate. So yeah, pretty good. Angel Sacrifice, use it in the fight phase. Select a Blood Angels character, excluding vehicle units from your army. Till the end of the phase, each time an enemy unit is selected to fight, if a model in the unit is within engagement range of the character, they can only attack the character. So essentially, your character taunts and forces them to attack them, rather than the target. Very noble of the Blood Angels there. Spiritual Might, use this in your Psychic phase. Select 1 Blood Angel Psychic from your army. You can attempt to manifest 1 additional Psychic power with that unit this phase. That's pretty good. Visions of Sanguinius is pretty good as well. So use this stratagem when a Death Company character model from your army is selected to fight. The model can do one of the following. If it's already used a Death Vision, which we'll see in a little bit, it can use another Death Vision this phase. You can't use one that you've already used during the battle. If the model does not use a Death Vision, it can use 2 different Death Visions this phase. So essentially it lets you use an additional one, and they've got some cool rules, which is really nice. Angel Exemplar. After nominating a Blood Angel character that is not a named character to be your Warlord, you can give them another Warlord trait. So again, we've seen similar in some of the other books, lets you stack up a couple of those abilities, which is pretty cool. Angel Ascendant, use the stratagem before the battle. You select a Blood Angels unit that can take a Sergeant. The model can now have one of the special issue War Gear relics, even though they're not a character. So that's pretty cool. You can give your squad sergeant some special war gear, which is nice. Lucifer Pattern Engines, upgrade your vehicles excluding dreadnoughts or anything that can fly. Whenever they advance, they just move 6 inches. So yeah, represents the pimped out engines that the Blood Angels have got. Honoured by the Arx Angelicium. 1 CP, use the stratagem after nominating a model down from the Blood Angel successor chapter to be your Warlord. You can give 1 Relic of the Angel, so essentially lets you use the Blood Angels relics on them even though they're a successor. Red Rampage, use the stratagem in your command phase if the Assault Doctrine is active. Until your next command phase, each time a Blood Angels model from your army makes an attack with a pistol or melee weapon, an unmodified 6 increases the armour penetration by 1. That is really nasty, especially as it stacks with the combat doctrines as well. So yeah, you can cut through some stuff with that. Stack that up with Death Company getting a ridiculous number of attacks, or your Descent of Angels. Yeah, that could be really painful. We've got Unbridled Ardour. Use a stratagem at the end of the Heroic Intervention step of your opponent's charge phase. Select 1 Sanguinary Guard unit from your army that's within 6 inches of enemy units. The selected unit is able to perform a heroic intervention as if it were a character. So essentially your Sanguinary Guard can swoop down and help out your dudes, which is really cool. Forlorn Fury, use a stratagem at the start of the first battle round. Before the first turn begins, select 1 Death Company unit from your army. They can make a normal move of 12 inches as if it were the movement phase. They can't get within 9 inches of enemy models. So yeah, basically you can start moving your Death Company up the field straight away, which is really good because those guys absolutely want to be charging and getting as close as they can. So yeah, really good stratagem that. Upon Wings of Fire, use it in the movement phase, select a Blood Angels core jump pack unit from your army and remove it from the battlefield. In the reinforcement step of the next turn, they can go down anywhere on the board more than 9 inches away from enemy models. So basically lets them redeploy. They disappear this turn and can come down next turn. So yeah, pretty good. We've got Savage Destruction. Use a stratagem in the morale phase, and when a morale test is failed for an enemy unit that is within engagement range of any Flesh Tearers, until the end of the phase, subtract 1 from combat attrition. So yeah, pretty good. Can force people to break there. And then Chalice Overflowing. Use a stratagem in your command phase. Select 1 Sanguinary Priest model from your army. That model can use its Blood Chalice ability 1 additional time this phase. We also get 6 unique Blood Angel Warlord traits and 3 Flesh Tearer Warlord traits. So at Speed of the Primarch, if your Warlord is within engagement range, it can fight first, so really good, regardless of any kind of picking order, he gets to go first, which is pretty handy. Artisan of War essentially gives him another another special issue war gear relic in addition to his normal relic. Soul Warden pretty much gives nearby units a 5+ wound shrug, pretty handy. Heroic Bearing adds 3 inches to the range of his auras. Gift of Foresight's really nice. Each turn lets him re-roll 1 hit, 1 wound and 1 saving throw for the Warlord. Pretty good. Selfless Valour, if it's able to perform a heroic intervention if it's within 6 inches of an enemy unit rather than 3. So yeah, pretty nice. And then the Flesh Tearer specific ones. Merciless Butcher, each time the Warlord is selected to fight, make 1 additional attack with one of its melee weapons for every 5 enemy models within 3 inches. So if you've got a lot of enemy models within 3 inches of him, he's going to get a load more attacks. Due to size of bases these days, it's probably not going to be more than 1 or 2, but pretty good. Of Wrath and Rage, each time the Warlord makes a melee attack, an unmodified hit of 6 scores 1 additional hit, so exploding 6s on there. And Critation Born, each time the Warlord declares a charge, enemy units that were targeted by that charge cannot fire Overwatch or set to defend against that charge. You can reroll charge rolls made for the Warlord, so yeah, pretty good there. We also get the Sanguinary Discipline with some familiar spells returning. We've got the Quickening that lets you reroll advance and charge rolls and add D3 to the Psyker's attacks characteristic. Unleash Rage basically gives a unit exploding 6s. Shield of Sanguinius, if manifested, select a Blood Angels unit within 18 inches until the start of your next psychic phase, it gets a 5+ invulnerable save, so there's lots of ways of stacking up some saves on you guys, which is pretty cool. Blood Boil, you pick a target and roll 2d6. If the total is more than the highest toughness, it suffers D3 wounds. If it's more than double of the highest toughness, it suffers 3 mortal wounds. So yeah, pretty good. If you're getting a 7 on average against Eldar, Guard and stuff, you're doing 3 mortal wounds. If you roll high, you can do quite a bit of damage to a Marine unit as well. So yeah, quite like that one. Blood Lance is a Witchfire. You select a unit within 18 inches of the Psyker, draw the shortest possible line, roll a d6 for each model the line covers. On a 5+, they suffer 1 mortal wound. Pretty cool. And then Wings of Sanguinius, you can make a normal move or fall back as if you're in movement phase. And until the end of the phase, you have a move characteristic of 12 and the fly keyword. So yeah, it can only go on the Psyker itself, but you know, when you've got Librarian Dreadnoughts and stuff flying around the battlefield, that's pretty tasty. We also get a load of relics, and especially a war gear as you would expect from these supplements. Some really cool stuff, like the icon of the angel. It gives you a 6-inch aura where you can re-roll charge rolls for those crucial units trying to get into combat. Yeah, some pretty cool stuff on here. And yeah, if you check out the website, I think Jay's gone into some detail on each of these and his picks of what he'd take for his Warlord. On to the Crusade rules, and if I'm being honest, I've probably played more Crusade than any other version of 40k this edition. I really enjoy Crusade. It lets you add a bit of narrative flair to your games, and in all these supplements so far, there's been some really fun stuff for the Crusade rules that really capture the feel of the army. So like with the match play missions, we also get some Crusade agendas that you can pick. Again, you can choose one of these if you want for your battle. So an honourable death in battle is an interesting one. If a Death Company unit is destroyed in battle and you have to nominate which unit it is, every other Blood Angels unit in your army gets 1 additional experience point and 1 additional requisition point, but you have to remove that Death Company unit from your roster. So yeah, basically they die in a horrific way, reenacting the death of Sanguinius, and suitably inspire the rest of their brothers. So that's pretty fun. Purity through bloodshed. You select a Blood Angels unit excluding Death Company. At the end of the battle, the unit gets a number of experience points equal to the enemy units destroyed by melee weapons tally. If a unit has at least 2 marks on an enemy unit's destroyed tally, and it passes a Black Rage test, that unit loses 1 floor point. So we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But essentially, in Crusade, your Blood Angels can succumb to the Black Rage. So yeah, that's pretty fun. Valor of the Angels. If you set this agenda, keep a Valor of the Angels tally for each Blood Angels character from your army, excluding Death Company. Add 1 each time it performs a heroic intervention. It destroys an enemy character, monster or warlord with a melee weapon, and it is destroyed by an enemy unit. At the end of the battle it gets experience equal to its tally. Yeah, it's pretty cool. If it's destroyed during the battle and the Blood Angels character, you can remove it from your order of battle, and you can give every other Blood Angels unit +1 experience. So there's a lot of stuff in here for giving your guys experience when your unit's fall, which is quite interesting. And then we have search for the cure. Keep a search for the cure tally for each Blood Angels apothecary unit in your army. Add 1 each time it does a special action. Essentially, it's trying to find the cure to the floor of the Blood Angels, and he can do a special action during the game to get that. So again, another nice narrative one. And then we've got some cool Blood Angel specific requisitions as well. So Descent into Madness, you can make your captains or lieutenants Death Company as long as they've got 2 or more floor points. Custodian of the Lost, it gives you a bit of protection against the Black Rage, and let you re-roll the roll at the end of the battle to see if they fall to it. So Noble Heritage is a fun one. Because the Blood Angels live so long, this essentially gets you an extra battle trait if they have 71 or more experience points. So yeah, you're going to have some super veteran Blood Angels with that one. And Blood Cleansing, you can get rid of flaws. So the flaws all boils down to the Black Rage. You keep a tally of the units that are being killed, and at the end of the game you roll a d6 and compare it to the number of units that you've destroyed. If you roll under it, you get a flaw point. Once you've got 3 flaw points, you roll 3d6. If it is less than your leadership characteristic, you've kept control, and its flaw points are reduced by 1. If it goes over, it succumbs to the Black Rage, and essentially, yeah, all your characters, dreadnoughts, all that kind of stuff, you can remove them from your roster and replace them with a Death Company equivalent. Any other unit takes a devastating blow result, as if they'd been destroyed in battle. So yeah, really, really fun. I can see some cool narrative going on with there, where a whole army eventually descends into the Black Rage. And this is the kind of stuff that I like Crusade for. Really fun narrative bits that match the theme of the army. So yeah, looking forward to seeing some Blood Angels fall to the floor with that. And again, like in the other books that we've had, you get some Blood Angel Crusade relics that you can give to your guys when they level up. So Blood of Baal for the Librarian or Librarian Dreadnoughts, you can add 6 inches to their Psychic Hood ability, and you can ignore modifiers to Psychic Test. So if there's any shenanigans on the battlefield limiting that, you can stop it. So yeah, a couple of cool relics in here, some really fun stuff. And then they get some additional honorifics as well. So similar to the Master of the Keep, Master of the Arsenal out of the Space Marine Codex, you get some Blood Angel specific one. So Shield of Baal, once per battle if the unit's on the battlefield, you can use the Battle Tactic Stratagem twice during the same phase instead of only once. Master of Sacrifice, once per battle if the unit's on the battlefield. When you use the Angel Sacrifice Stratagem, it costs 0 command points, which is cool. The Lord Adjudicator, when you use an Epic Deed Stratagem, it costs 0 command points. Caller of the Fires, once per battle if the unit's on the battlefield. When you use the Red Rampage Stratagem, it costs 0. Lord of Skyfall, same again on the Descent of Angels or upon Wings of Fire stratagems. And Master of Sieges, if it's part of your Crusade army and you're the attacker, you start the battle with an additional D3 command points. Pretty cool. Pretty cool stuff. I quite like those. We also get a name generator like we've seen in some of the other books, so you can come up with some names for your characters to really push the kind of narrative side of Crusade. So onto the data sheets themselves, and we've got some of the Blood Angel specific rules here. So the Black Rage, in your movement phase, each time the unit is selected to move, it cannot fall back. Each time the unit fights, if it made a charge or performed a heroic intervention, then it adds 1 to its attack characteristic, again on top of any other +1 attack mechanics. Each time a model in the unit would lose a wound, on a 6 it's not lost, but it cannot perform actions. So your Death Company units are going to get an awful lot of attacks. They're not going to be able to do any actions, and you can't fall back, so you could get drawn into positions that you don't want to perhaps, but yeah, they can throw out an awful lot of attacks. We also have Death Visions. Once per battle, when the model is selected to fight, it can use one of the Death Visions listed below. And remember, there is ways of doing that multiple times as well, which we've seen earlier in the book. So, on the Bridge of the Vengeful Spirits, A character can use it if the enemy infantry character or monster character are visible to it. Add 1 to the model's attacks characteristic for every 5 enemy models that are within 6 inches of it. And each time a model makes an attack, you can re-roll the hit roll. That's crazy good. So, yeah, if you've got him up against a horde army or something with a lot of models within 6 inches, on top of the already bananas numbers of attacks that you're getting as a Blood Angel, you're getting a ton more. Really, really fun. Grace of an Angel, you can only use the Death Vision if an enemy infantry character or monster character are within engagement range. Basically gives them a 3+ invulnerable save. And then to slay the War Master, a model can only use the Death Vision if an enemy infantry character or monster character are within engagement range. If a model uses its Death Vision, then instead of making any attacks, both players roll off. If you win, select one of the enemy models. That model suffers D3 plus 3 mortal wounds. So yeah, really, really cool. I like these. I like the abilities that let you use multiple ones. Bear in mind you can only use each of them once per battle though. But yeah, some of them could turn the tide of the battle, and they look really fun. Onto the profiles. I'm not going to spend too long on these because if you've got the PDF they put out with the updated rules, as far as I can see, they're pretty similar. I think there's a few minor changes. I think Tycho had a few changes in the wordings, but other than that, all these profiles seem to represent the ones that we got recently on Warhammer Community. So yeah, no massive changes there. Again, we get all the unique Blood Angels characters. We get the unique Blood Angels units like the Sanguinary Guard, the Death Company Dreadnought, the Sanguinary Ancient. Death Company Intercessors are a little bit different. They can be assault intercessors. Essentially you can swap out their bolt rifle for a pistol and a chainsword, which is pretty fun. So yeah, they're pretty tasty. They are core as well, so they're affected by a lot of auras, which is good. And yeah, pretty much all the Blood Angels models that we've got current rules for are in here. And again, just like with the other books, we get a nice single sheet with all the points values on. Much prefer this way of displaying the points. I don't think there's any massive changes from the PDF they put out. So yeah, if you've got a current Blood Angel army, there shouldn't be any massive changes to your points values there. So yeah, and then as we've seen in the other ones, you get a nice reference sheet at the back, giving you all your key rules, so your Death Visions, Black Rage, Savage Echoes, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, another fun Codex supplement for Codex Space Marines. Now we know we've got the Dark Angels coming in January, and then after that I think it's Unknown Waters. We've got Drukhari, which will be interesting to see a new Xenos army in this edition. And yeah, I've been really impressed with these books so far. I've got a feeling we're going to see these at a rapid rate over the next year. I think Games Workshop will want to try and get all the armies up to date because obviously some of the older ones maybe have fallen by the wayside a little bit. So it's good to see them putting the books out at a steady rate so everybody can have, you know, balanced games. So yeah, that's a quick look at Blood Angels Codex Supplement. Jay has done a full write-up over on the website, so yeah, make sure to check that out. I'll put a link in the description. Big thanks to Games Workshop for sending this out a little bit early for us to have a look at and review with you guys. But yeah, hopefully in the new year, once lockdowns have passed, we'll be able to get some games on the tabletop again. But until then, we will see you later.